Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm Michael from EmbodyTheState.com, and today's video is going to be one where we kind of dive into purchasing the pearl of great price a little bit, right? It's something that inspired me, to kind of talk about, because I've seen a client that I was working with yesterday and they were doing so many things great, and then they said one sentence which gave away their whole mental diet without them even realizing it, right? Like, they showed what they were doing, to me at least, without them realizing they were making this mistake. And I figured, you know what, the whole world could benefit from kind of talking about this a little bit. So we're going to dive into this a little bit more in this video, and I intend that you guys enjoy this, and I intend that this helps a lot of you guys. And all I ask from you is, if this video gives you anything of value, you learn anything, you find inspiration, whatever it may be, is to just give me a like on this video, so therefore it reaches other people. Same way it helps you is the same way it'll help other people, and so on and so on. So that being said, let's get into it. So where do we begin? Pretty much it's the client, the one sentence that they said to me. It was, they were telling me all the things they were doing. They were returning to the state. They were starting to, make it a habit slowly. They were kind of forming that mental diet awareness. They were returning to it in a fun, pleasant way. They didn't do it when they felt like they didn't want to. Like, all the stuff that's fine, right? That's completely okay. Because remember, it's not about, starting off and trying to just go hard and force yourself to do things. It's not about that. And it's not about, doing things because you think you have to, right? It's simply about catching your awareness when you're in lack and then returning to having. It's just understanding that you already have it and making that choice, that decision, right? And they were doing this well. But then they told me that they were also looking at social media of their person, right? They told me that they were still looking up on social media if their person was doing anything, if their person blocked them, if their person was out on dates and stuff like this, right? And right then and there, everything that they told me made sense as to why they didn't have the things that they wanted, right? And I forget the timeline they said. I don't know if it was like 5 weeks or 6 weeks or something, but they've been kind of, they've been doing this on their journey, and they've been having fun and this and that. But then that time that I spoke with them, they noticed, hey, I noticed it's been a certain amount of weeks and nothing changed, and I'm doing everything right, and I'm in the state, I'm always returning to it, and so on and so on, and I'm always in the state, and they kept telling me that, like, they were trying to convince me that they're doing everything perfectly, and I get it. A lot of people, I know people don't have bad intentions when they sign up to work with me, right? I know that people aren't foolish enough to be like, okay, I know that I'm doing things wrong, but I'm gonna just go to this person and waste my own time and money and be like, yeah, I'm doing everything right, and so what could be wrong, right? I understand that no one has those intentions, right? So they didn't realize that they were doing everything right, but the mistake that they were making was they were still checking on the old things. They were still living in the 3D. And when you're manifesting, it's not about living in your 3D. It's not about living, in the present moment, of all the negativity, of all the lack, of all the things you don't want. It's not about that, guys. It's literally about making a decision of, okay, I recognize that at this starting point, right where I'm kind of standing right now, that is exactly where I'm going to begin my journey. And from this point forward, I'm going to go from point A to point B. Every single time I'm reminded of my desire, every time it pops up in my head, every time I crave it and I want it. In other words, you recognize you're in a state of not having. You're going to then give it to yourself, right? And that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's how you build a habit. But the problem is when you start doing this stuff and you're doing everything perfectly, because remember, entering a state is not hard. A state of consciousness is not something difficult to enter. It's as simple as thinking to yourself, okay, if I want money, a lot of money, if I want a lottery win as an example, how do I think I would feel if in this moment I won a lottery win, right? Whatever number it was. Or how do I think it would feel if I already won it, but then I know that it's going to take, a month to get my money back? Or how would it feel if I just remembered that I actually have the thing that I want? I actually have that lottery win, right? Right then and there, when you contemplate these things and you don't try to condition it, but you just let yourself contemplate them naturally, and you let your mind wander, you enjoy it. You enjoy what you would be spending it on, how you would be thinking, what you would be doing, what restaurants you'd be going to. These are the things where you're enjoying it, and you might notice that you feel a little shift within yourself. You might notice that you feel a little bit lighter, you feel a little bit happier, you feel a little bit, more relieved or abundant, whatever it may be. But you guys have to understand that the important part about manifesting anything is when you're doing that easy, and I call that the easy part. Trust me, getting into the state's the easy part. Like, some people look at it like it's this impossible thing. It's not. To me, it's the easiest part. You can do it in less than 0.3 seconds. Like, it's boom. It's like a decision. But the part that this client of mine was kind of not realizing they were screwing up on was, and I say that with love, by the way, it's that they were still stuck, right? They still were attaching their hooks into the 3D world, right? They didn't realize that, okay, I'm doing everything in here. You know, when I say in here, I mean the inner world. And they're doing the techniques fine. They're returning to the state. They're doing their best, you know, to fall asleep in the state of the wish fulfilled. They're doing all these great things, and that's fine. You guys should be doing this and enjoying the process, and they were. But the one thing they weren't doing was they weren't realizing that by returning in here to lack, and to kind of decide, okay, they're on my mind, and I'm going to now check on them and see if I'm getting any movement, see if they did this, see if they changed their profile, see if they unblocked me. I'm gonna see if there's a story of them that's, you know, that's gonna give me evidence that they're with someone else, or that they're not. Whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. But this client was kind of doing things like that, right? And I asked them, I said, look, if you understand that your inner world creates your outer world, right? If you understand and you accept that your beliefs are what outpicture your whole reality, whatever you experience in your reality today, tomorrow, next week, next month, all that is going to be a combination of your beliefs pushed out, right? That's all it is. And that's the beautiful part of the law. It's that simple. But if you know that that your inner becomes your outer, doesn't make sense that when you're trying to change the reflection, as Neville would say, that you're doing a majority of the stuff okay, but you're still dominantly stuck in the 3D for that one little piece, right? And if you're still looking for evidence in the 3D, if you're still checking up on your person, you're still checking for movement, does that sound like something that someone that knows that their inner becomes their outer would be doing if they want results as soon as possible? And the answer is no. And they realize, you know what? Yeah, that's not what I would be doing. And that's the beautiful part about the law. It's like, it's so easy, but because it's so simple that sometimes we overlook the most basic things, right? Like, you know, my client, you know, they were so relieved when they kind of saw him when I pointed this out for them, because they were thinking, oh my God, I've been doing everything perfect and it makes no sense. This should have been here by now, and so on and so on. And they were starting to get a little worried. They were starting to lose a little bit of faith. They were in a little bit of a spiral, and that's okay. You know, it's part of the human process. So don't worry, guys. You don't have to be perfect, but you got to realize you have to let go of all your 3D. You have to detach and let go of everything that is present, right? And when you realize that you're supposed to be letting go of everything that is present in order for you to live in the new reality, in the new inner world, in the new probable reality that you would prefer to experience, you have to do that within here. You got to do it in your mind. Because if you don't do it in your mind and you're not enjoying that reality that you would prefer in here more than you're enjoying, you know, this whole 3D reality in front of you guys, then guess what's going to happen? Nothing's going to change. You'll be doing the techniques fine, but you're still attaching those hooks into your own, you know, into your own 3D. So think of yourself as a, you know, I would say like a hot air balloon. And this is an example actually that I might have used in a previous video. If not, then you guys will probably enjoy this one. But I know for a fact I share this with certain clients, and I tell them, look, your job is, imagine you're in a hot air balloon, right? So a hot air balloon starts from here and then it goes here. And and of course you have to pull that little lever, that little chain or whatever it may be, that then, you know, shoots the fire, so then it elevates, right? So it rises, just how we rise in consciousness, right? So the thing is, when you do that, that's fine. That's you returning to the state. You pull on that lever and then you go up. That's you choosing to return to a state. Think of it like that, okay? And then when you do what my client was doing, you're then deciding, okay, I'm in this basket here, and the hot air balloon's, you know, holding us up, and I want to go up. In other words, think of up as your inner reality, right? The reality you'd prefer. But I want to go up, but I'm going to decide to throw anchors down, or hooks, that are then going to latch onto the present reality, latch onto Earth, right? And that's the circumstances you don't like. It's the lack of movement. It's the lack of SP, the lack of money, lack of whatever it may be. And I'm going to throw hooks into my 3D world. So therefore, it's going to keep the, you know, the hot air balloon from fully rising, right? From fully, you know, getting to where it needs to be, where you need to be, right? So when you realize that your job is to remove these hooks, right? And you remove these hooks such as stalking your SP, looking for movement, wondering if it's going to come, when it's going to come, wondering if the law even works, right? Dominantly. It's okay to have these thoughts here and there and you know, and stuff like that. I don't want you thinking that you have to be like 100% perfect. But I don't want you guys also thinking that it's okay to do techniques and then at the same time spend as much or more effort into throwing hooks from your basket into the 3D, into your present reality you don't like, and then being like, where's my results? Why are they not here, right? It doesn't work like that, right? And that's what I want to teach all you guys. It's not about that, right? Your job is to let go of those hooks. And by letting go of those, you know, those hooks that you kind of put into the ground that keep you grounded in this crappy 3D reality, guess what's happening? You're not getting anywhere. And when you're doing that, you are not purchasing the pearl of great price. And you know, that goes back to what I mentioned in the beginning of the video. The purchasing of the pearl of great price is what you need in order to manifest and reflect that reality, to experience that, right? And if you're not making that purchase, if you're not getting rid of everything, because in order to make that purchase, remember, you have to sell everything that you are, everything that you have in order to purchase it, right? And that means you have to let go of the 3D limitations, you know, let go of the 3D logic, let go of the reasons why logically you can't get this or you can't have that. You got to let go of what they told you or what your boss told you or what your bank tells you, what your bank account's showing you. You have to get rid of the negative news the doctor told you. All that, you have to let go of it. You have to understand all that was my creation. All these things are in other words, they're subject to change, I guess is the better way to explain it. All of it is subject to change. And if I know that I can change it within a fairly fast time frame, then does my present 3D seem so scary? And the answer is no, right? You start realizing, wait a minute, if it's inevitable that I get my results, then does it make sense that I'm going to sit here and keep attaching hooks to my crappy 3D and then complaining, oh my God, nothing's changing? It makes no sense, right? So that's what I don't want you guys to do. You guys have to purchase the pearl of great price by getting rid of everything, right? Sell all that stuff. Sell everything that is keeping you attached to here. Sell all that fear. Get rid of all that crap. Get rid of all the labels. Get rid of everything that isn't what you would prefer to have, if that makes sense. And by doing that, you are in essence detaching those hooks. You're deciding, hey, I'm going to pull them back up to the hot air balloon basket and I'm going to let myself just rise in consciousness. And from that moving forward, what you're doing is, think about it. Every time you pull that little lever, right, you grab onto it and you pull it, you're going up and up and up. So all you're doing is every single time your desire strikes you, as Neville teaches in his books, when the mood strikes you, the desire strikes you, you pull that little lever. In other words, you rise in consciousness, right? If, you know, for this example, you pull that lever of the hot balloon and then you rise up, right? So it's the same thing, right? It pops up in your head, pull that lever. Remind yourself that you already have what you want, right? Remind yourself that you already are the one that has it. How would it feel to be this person, right? What kind of things would you be feeling if you just realized you had it, or you remembered you have it, or you know that you're going to get it? Either one, there's no wrong way to go about it. And trust me, I've manifested great things doing all those things, right? From all those perspectives. But what matters is, what state are you going to enter now that you're aware of the thing that you want, right? Just like if you want a car, now that you're thinking about your parking spot and how it's empty right now, right then and there, that is a moment for you to pull that lever and to go straight to the wish fulfilled, right? And that's all that's asked of you. But the problem is, so many people decide, okay, I'm going to pull that lever and then I'm going to start, you know, throwing hooks down. And then I'm going to let the cold air come, so then I start falling back down and going back down to earth, back to reality, right? Instead of floating up above. And then you're going to realize, oh, nothing changed. This isn't working. Something's wrong. I have to find the next technique. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to try this technique, and then this, you know, subliminal, and then this, you know, challenge and that challenge. And it's just... the best way to explain it is it's so silly, right? And from where I'm standing, all that's so silly because it's all effort, right? You know, that's why I tell all my clients, study certain books, right? And the more you study, the more you realize, okay, the law is not as complicated as the internet makes it seem. The law is not this thing that, you know, you have to effort your way into and you have to do work all day and set timers and just, you know, tell yourself things 24/7 that you have no identification with, in the hopes that your subconscious mind, you know, magically accepts it and stuff like that. And, you know, of course you can get results doing that. I'm not going to sit here and say you're not going to get results doing that, but wouldn't it be more fun to get things faster in a more mentally healthy way that takes less effort? And if so, then that's what you should be doing, right? And the law is that simple. Neville says that it should be lukewarm. It shouldn't be too hot or too cold. It should just be boom, that's it. Like, it's like you shouldn't lift a finger. You don't have to lift a finger, as he would teach, right? And so many other great teachers. And that's the thing that so many people are doing, right? Just like my client, they were lifting all these fingers to do all these techniques and stuff, which is fine, right? As long as they were happy and they enjoy it, that's great, right? You can pick whatever techniques you want and stick with them and use them to as a vehicle to get you to a state. That's fine, right? But you got to realize that the mistake that a lot of people are making are what I explained earlier, which is then attaching those hooks. And it's all up to you guys to realize, okay, am I attaching these hooks into my 3D? How long have I been on this journey? Has it been months? Has it been weeks? Has it been years? Whatever it may be, right? And if it's only been a few weeks, guys, don't panic, right? Like, don't worry about it. The time doesn't really matter. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, if your stuff hasn't come here in, 20 days, you're doing it wrong. It's not my job to tell you that, right? It's however long it takes you to change your beliefs in here, okay? What you feel true in your heart, okay? And if that takes you 2 months, it takes you 2 months. And if it takes you a month or 3 days or 4 days or whatever, then so be it. But enjoy the journey, guys. You have to get rid of everything that is presently not what you prefer to be. If you have the identity that you don't have the things you want when you think about them, you need to get rid of those things. You have to stop looking at these things that you want as something that you're trying to get. Because if you wake up every day and then you spend the majority of your day thinking about your goal as something you would want, in other words, as something, oh, I wish I had it. I want to get this so bad. That is not what people do who have things, right? Bill Gates doesn't do that for his money. Jeff Bezos doesn't. Elon Musk doesn't. You can name any person in the world that has a talent or something that you want. And do you think that they're sitting there every day doing techniques for it, right? The answer is no. So why on earth would you? And that's the thing. It's about making a choice. It's about realizing, okay, I have to get rid of all these things that are kind of keeping me stuck in my 3D. All these habits. That means, and like I mentioned, it's the stalking. It's what the 3D told you. It's what the world is telling you. And your job is to live in here. Your job is to understand what's in here, and what's in here is what's more real than what's out there. And a lot of you guys trust what's out there more than what's in here, what's in your inner world. And until you guys start trusting your inner world more than your outer world, then you're gonna have a hard time getting your results. Right? It's gonna feel effort. It's gonna feel like no matter what you do, every day is the same. Maybe things might get worse depending on what you're doing and your beliefs. Trust me, guys, it's not a fun journey to go down that route. And that's why I want all you guys to understand it's all about going straight to your wish fulfilled and believing in that reality more than your present one. If you're not believing in in other words, your inner world, those other probable realities that exist, more than you're believing the one, pretty much the one that you're living in, the one that's holding you back, the 3D, then you're going to be screwed, right? And I don't want you guys to be screwed. It's so simple to get stuck and to kind of be, waste months and months and eventually a year, 2 years, 3 years. And trust me, I've seen people that have been, on a journey. I think 12 years is like the longest I've spoken to someone where they've been trying to manifest a person. And let me tell you, you guys do not have to wait 12 years. And trust me, I know that a lot of you guys want your desires now. I know that a lot of you are hurting now, but ask yourselves, if you don't trust anyone, trust me, because I'm not going to waste my time here recording these videos and to kind of, lie to you and lead you astray. I'm not asking of anything of you. I'm not telling you to give me money, right? I want all you guys to understand, hey, look, take it from me, from a guy who came from nothing, from a guy who had, I was so close to being homeless and I was, my world was so upside down, trust me, to now I have more freedom than I can imagine. I can buy what I want. I can work when I want. I can do whatever I want. I can go to sleep whatever hour I want. I can wake up whatever time I want. I can change my schedule around. I literally am able to do whatever I want. So if I could go from that to now to what I'm able to do, then trust me when I say this, you can have your results sooner than you think. You can have your results. And when I say sooner than you think, I don't want you, to expect, oh, just like Michael, he got some things in 3 days, some things in a week, some things in 10 days. So if I don't get it in less than 10 days or whatever, then I'm doing it wrong because he's able to do it. Trust me, you guys are different than me. You guys are all different than each other, right? You guys have to understand that I had my own struggles. I was so screwed up in my 3D because of my beliefs that reflected a crappy reality, that I needed success like I needed air to breathe. And that's why for me it was so simple to apply the law, and that's why I got the evidence that then taught me that the law is real, and I saw how my thoughts and my beliefs shape my reality. And that's why to this day I'm sitting here teaching you guys. So trust me, if you don't have belief in anyone, at least take it from me. I wouldn't waste my own time doing this if this stuff wasn't true. Realize that you don't have to wait forever to get your desire. Realize that you don't have to spend months and months and months and months and months and years before you get movement or your desire. Decide what you want. Every time it pops in your head, become the one who has it. Give it to yourself. It's that simple. You can do that with any technique you prefer. When I say give it to yourself, that's what I mean. I mean, pick your technique of choice and then use that to get to the state of the wish fulfilled, to return to it. And practice the mental habit of returning to the wish fulfilled no matter what. And when you return to the wish fulfilled, in the back of your brain, when you leave that, you know, that feeling, you kind of like when you fulfill yourself and you feel that shift within you and you realize you're thinking from for a little bit and you're enjoying what that life would feel like and look like in your inner world. Once you get back to reality and, you know, you go back to work, you go back to driving, you go back to whatever it may be, you have to walk away with the understanding that thing I just did inside, that thing that was right here, that is more real than my 3D world, because my 3D world was what I was doing in here dominantly in the past prior, right? And even Seth talks about there's a time delay in the 3D for a reason, right? And, you know, of course, when you change your beliefs, the delay is going to speed up and be much quicker, right? Because eventually your world can only reflect what you dominantly believe. But the day you wake up and that has happened, I'm telling you, you're gonna feel great. You're gonna have fun with this. You're gonna get results so fast it'll shock you, right? And that's what I want you guys to remember. It's be more trusting of your inner world. Be more trusting of what you feel on the inside, that knowing, right? And when you have that knowing, when you accept things on the inside, I guess the emotions will be a byproduct. It's the side effect. It's a passive side effect of the acceptance of the new facts of life. And when you realize, okay, if I see myself with my desire in my head, then that means it already exists elsewhere. And if it exists elsewhere, then that means I can manifest it. That means I can experience it. How? I have to now start returning to what it would feel like to be that person over there, right? What it would feel like to be in those realities, right? Because right now I'm in this one, but there's ones all around me, guys, right? So imagine all this empty space behind me and beside me. Imagine that's actually filled. Like every little inch is filled. Every little piece is filled. And when I say it's filled, it's all probable realities. It's all, you know, different realities, alternate realities where you have your desires, right? And you got to realize I got to start grabbing, you know, those realities and jumping to them. I got to pull myself up to them, right? And the more you elevate yourself in consciousness, right? Like it's taught by so many great books, the more it's going to become habitual. But you have to let go of all the 3D stuff, okay? So that's all I wanted to teach you guys for today, right? I'm going to keep this a little bit, you know, it's like a normal, you know, timed video, I guess. We're 23 minutes in, so that's okay. But understand, you have to get rid of all your 3D stuff. And the faster you start trusting your imagination more than your inner world, or sorry, than your outer world, then trust me, your inner world will reflect. But you have to decide that what you do on the inside will always be reflected to you on the outside. You have to realize that, okay, I have to stay strict on what I am accepting as true of myself. And even though my 3D is showing me all this crap around the world, all the stuff that I don't want, it's showing me lack and this and that, or I might have even got bad news on my journey. I don't give a crap, because my inner world is the thing that I am going to experience. And if I don't want to experience more crap and more lack and more unhappiness, then why on earth would I look at the negative in my life and then allow that to poison me and to kind of, in other words, sabotage myself? Instead, I don't care. I'm going to acknowledge it. I understand. The 3D is crappy for some people, and that's fine, just like it was for me. But I understood it's subject to change. Stay focused on that change. Stay focused on the fact it's going to change, right? As Neville says, right? A couple videos back, I discussed this, right? Where he talks about knowing that it's going to explode and your 3D will conform. If you know your 3D is going to conform because you're trusting what's in here more than what's out here, then guess what? You can live in peace because you can now walk through the fire no matter what is happening, and you can now understand that as long as I trust, you know, the inner world, and I have faith in my higher self and source, and that it's my higher self's job to figure out the hard stuff, and all I have to do is return to being the one who already has it over and over, then that's the fun part. Then there's nothing to fear, okay? So that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this video. It's a little all over the place, but you know, I got the points I wanted to get out across, right? I want you guys to remember that little example of the hot air balloon. Are you gonna let your air balloon sink, or are you gonna let it float and remove any hooks you have that are keeping you grounded to your 3D, right? Because remember, if you're doing any habits that you would not be doing if you had your person, cut that crap out, because I'm telling you, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. So many of you guys have come to me spending thousands and thousands on different coaches, and by the time you get to me, you guys are already fed up, and then you realize how simple this was from the beginning, and then you guys are like, oh crap, like why did I spend all this money? Why did I waste all my time, right? I could have had this X amount of months ago. Trust me, guys, it's easy. You can do this, all right? So that being said, I love you all very much. Thank you for all the likes that you guys gave me, for the ones that did, and even the ones that don't. I love you all equally, so thank you very much. And I will be out with another video soon. I hope you guys are enjoying the new colors and stuff I'm playing around with, adding stuff to the studio. But that being said, I'm going to let you guys go now, and I can't wait to get the next video out. Take care, guys.